Got a loaded show on today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. As the Warriors finally got great news after a couple days of hearing nothing but bad. And on the back half of today's show, we're going to dissect a new trade target that we haven't really talked about on today's show. That's Myles Turner, one of the more underrated talents at the center position in this league. We're going to unpack all of that on today's show. But before we do, I know you're probably already attacking me in the comments section. Smitty, we don't need to make a trade. This team's 11-3. I understand that. But there is a chance down the line that they might need to improve this roster and might need to find a bigger scoring punch. So let me know down in the comments section. Will Golden State need to make a trade at some point this season to improve the roster? Also, they just lost De'Anthony Melton, so they might need a bigger punch. Let me know down in the comments by typing Y for yes or N for no. What's going on, Dub Nation? You're watching Warriors Today by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Tyler Smith, and finally, to channel my inner Dwayne The Rock Johnson, finally, the Warriors get some great news, and that is that they fired on all cylinders on both ends of the floor last night against the Atlanta Hawks, where the first game where Golden State knew of De'Anthony Melton's fate for the rest of the season, where he will miss the rest of the season with an ACL surgery, Golden State stepped up to the plate, kind of used that to fuel the fire and really take it to Atlanta on all ends of the floor. Starting from the first quarter, Golden State was up 4 points, 21-17, and then went on a 17-0 run. And we're up 38-17 at one point there in the first quarter. Really never let up as the game went on. They shot a blistering 47-101 from the field. Not too bad from three-point range, but it could be improved. The real kicker is the defense that you played on Atlanta, holding them to under 97 points. You hold Trae Young to 4 of 12 shooting, so you don't let him get into a rhythm. He's been banged up, and Golden State didn't let him get back into form there for the all-star point guard from Atlanta. And, they held Atlanta to really bad shooting from the field. They're not the best three-point shooting team in the world, and Golden State made them look like so. 26.5% from three-point range, and overall only made a third of their shots on the night. And it all starts with number 30, right? At the end of the day, if Golden State's going to win games this season, it's going to come at upon the leadership and the performances of number 30, Steph Curry. Not a crazy performance last night, but getting super involved as a point guard. I think he's going to potentially average a career high in assists this season with just how gravitational he is on offense, drawing in multiple defenders and being able to find open shooters on the outside for Golden State, for which a roster has many. I mean, Steph was fantastic last night, but he only shot 10 shots. It's kind of crazy that this Golden State team at this point doesn't really need Stephen Curry to shoot 20, 25 shots a night. They're getting 10 shots from him, and he's making the right plays and kind of letting everything come to him within the flow of an offense. I mean, the guy's shooting 66% from three-point range and 70% from the floor in a game against the Atlanta Hawks, where he also only had to play 30 minutes on the night. So hats off to Steph and what he can do. He actually catapulted that 17-0 run there in the first quarter as he was falling on top of Onyeka Okongwu and gets an and one, trips over him, falling away, gets the nice roll. So Steph kind of was the catalyst for last night's stellar performance on both ends of the floor. You know who else was the real performer of last night is this man right here, Andrew Wiggins. And I got to be a little apologetic as, all summer long I was championing the fact that Andrew Wiggins probably would not be able to be a serviceable, consistent secondary scorer next to Stephen Curry if the Warriors wanted to contend in the Western Conference. Well, he shut me up last night, 12 of 17 from the floor, absolutely blistering. And Andrew Wiggins played without hesitation last night. When the ball came to him, he was very decisive with it. He didn't hold on to things too long, which is something that we can see him getting into a bad rhythm of sometimes during these Warriors games. Is Andrew Wiggins just gets stagnant within the offense. And we know the Warriors offense works at best when everybody is moving around the floor. Andrew Wiggins was doing that last night, and he was being very decisive when he had the ball in his hands, not holding it for too long. Loved what I saw from Wiggins last night. If he can keep this up, I'll continue to eat my words, and Golden State might not have to make a trade for a secondary scorer. But the real shining star of last night didn't come in the scoring column because Draymond responded mightily after his 6-turnover game against the Memphis Grizzlies Los Angeles Clippers just a couple of games ago. 9-7-9. I mean, this might be Draymond's stat line when it's all said and done at the end of the year. What a performance from Draymond Green. A game high plus 29, and in a game where, the three-pointer left him. Draymond's been scorching hot from outside so far this year, but he goes 0-4 in this campaign, and unfortunately, it's okay, or fortunately, I should say, it's okay because he affects the game everywhere else. Played phenomenal defense down low against Atlanta team that has really long wings, really big bigs down there, and they can really impose their will there down in the paint. Draymond had none of that. You know who else had none of that? Trace Jackson Davis. Maybe the best game of Trayce Jackson-Davis's young career as a Golden State Warrior. 14 points, 11 boards, 4 dimes. Put in a block as well, protecting the rim a little bit. TJD was awesome last night. Got 11 shots up, got more shots up than our man Steph, and he took advantage of it. Constantly being available off of the roll, constantly being available for alley-oop passes, and just always being in the right place at the right time. Never going to give you anything off the dribble. Never going to be able to really create for himself, in my opinion. But, at the end of the day, for what Trayce Jackson-Davis does give you, you'll love when you can get performances like this, especially against, an Atlanta Hawks team that's super long, and they got a guy like Clint Capella down there who can dominate in the paint. And you know who else was rounded out the starting lineup last night as De'Anthony Melton was officially out for the season, as we heard yesterday? Lindy Waters III. He's actually been inserted into the starting lineup a few times since De'Anthony Melton has gone down, and he took advantage of it as well. Had the primary guarding the job on Trae Young in the first quarter there, and he did well. I think Trae Young only got 1 shot up in the first quarter, and could this be the Golden State Warriors starting shooting guard moving forward? Remember, Steve Kerr said that De'Anthony Melton was going to be the permanent starting shooting guard for the Warriors this season. Well, that's not going to happen anymore. They're going to have to look to somebody else. He mentioned as well that Brandon Podziemski could be in the mix. But I don't know. Lindy Waters III has shown us that he can be a staple in this Warriors rotation moving forward. Hit 2 of his 5 threes last night. Played elite defense on the other end. He's going to be a high-energy player and a high-level shot maker, if we're being honest, from what we've seen so far. So I like Lindy. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Who should be the Golden State Warriors starting shooting guard moving forward? Is it going to be Lindy Waters? Is it going to be a guy like Brandon Podziemski? Is it going to be, a Buddy Hield or a Gary Payton? Let me know down in the comment section who you guys think should start at the 2 next to Steph for Golden State. Speaking of one of those guys, Buddy Hield didn't have a crazy game last night. 3-9 from 3. Buddy's been very solid so far. He was a part of that big run there in the first quarter, hitting the open shots when he needed to. He got out on the fast break for a wide open dunk. That's been something that Golden State has been doing to perfection this year, and really limiting their opponents in doing so as well. Getting out on the fast break and limiting transition opportunities for their opponents. And Buddy Hield, he just plays within the flow of this offense. He fits so well, and I can't wait to keep seeing Buddy stroke that 3 from deep and continue to be a great pairing with Steph as the splash buddies there from outside. Also, Jonathan Kuminga, he's really just become an effort guy as of late, getting a little bit more active on the offensive glass, which is something I love to see. He cleaned up a couple of opportunities yesterday. Didn't shoot particularly well from the floor, but he played solid defense. I continue to see good things from Kuminga as he makes his transition role to the bench, but it's just unfortunate because in the back of my mind, we thought kind of going into the season that he might have made a potential all-star leap. Also, Gary Payton II, is he going to be factored into this lineup more now that De'Anthony Melton is out? For sure. Is he going to have to find something in himself to be able to produce more on the offensive end and be a better shooter? Probably. 3 or 4 last night, but no, let's not act like these were, isolation situations. So it's not like I need Gary Payton to score a ton of isolation situations. You just need to be more efficient from the outside and be more of a threat that defenses will respect out on the perimeter, not just at the dunker spot, which is where he thrives. And I love what I've seen from Gary Payton so far. He's been a very good player, and he continues to be one of Golden State's, if not the best, primary defender on the roster. Also, Kevon Looney, just getting in there, getting dirty, and making things happen for Golden State. Constantly going to be an effort guy. He's won multiple championships. He knows how things roll around here, and he's being a good mentor to Trayce Jackson-Davis as well, kind of letting him slide into that starting center role. And he's still doing his job off the bench. He's not taking any days off, not taking any plays off, because that's not how Looney plays. He's also on a 1-year contract, so he's probably going to be looking to make some money on a probably longer-term deal sometime in this offseason. So continue what I love to see from Loon. Just keep making those effort plays. Just wish that three-pointer that he talked about in the offseason was actually hitting so far this year. Man, gotta talk about my guy Pods. Not a great effort once again. 1 for 6 from the field. He did hit his lone 3 that he attempted last night, but man, it just continues to be pretty rough for Brandon Podziemski. Now, he did get injured in this game, so giving you guys a little bit of an update on that. He got hit in the face early in that fourth quarter, was down for a couple of minutes, was a little bit scary, and then he got off and walked off to the locker room. Remember, Brandon Podziemski broke his nose in the preseason. He's been wearing a mask. And I think it's recently been taken off, if I'm not mistaken. Got hit in the face again yesterday. Fortunately, though, good news. X-rays are negative, so doesn't look like he's going to be missing any time. He's just definitely going to be in pain up there. Shout out to Pods. Really just hope he comes along as the season goes and his statistics improve, his shooting percentages improve, because it's really been a rough go of it for a guy who they previously called the next great point guard in Golden State Warriors history, and a guy who they deemed untouchable during this offseason. But Another guy who I want to see more of and more from, honestly, is Moses Moody. I mean, he's not doing himself any favors when he's shooting 1 for 5 from the floor. He's not playing a ton of consequential minutes. Golden State was up for, basically the entire game last night, and they didn't really let up the lead. And I just didn't feel like Moses Moody was making any impact in the areas that Golden State took to win this game. He just seems like he's going to be there when Golden State has leads or when guys need breaks, and it just doesn't seem like he's necessarily being focused on as a guy who's going to change games, going to go out there and make winning plays for Golden State. He just seems like somebody who's kind of there in the middle to relieve some of the players who are making those type of plays for Golden State. I want to see more from Moses Moody, but we just haven't yet. And then Kyle Anderson, man, a bunch of Warriors shot really poorly from the field last night. Shout out to the guys who did it efficiently because they carried Golden State to this dub. But Slow-Mo, you know what you're going to get with Slow-Mo. You're getting good facilitation from the high post. You're getting good defense. You're going to get inefficient shooting nights. Sometimes you're going to get the occasional couple of three-point flurries. But Kyle Anderson, I mean, for the role he plays and spelling Draymond at his age right now, I'm cool with what Slow-Mo brings to us. It's just unfortunate. Some of those stretches without Steph, without Draymond on the floor, you get guys like this. You get guys like Gary Payton. You get guys like Moses Moody on the floor. Offense is hard to come by, and guys aren't hitting shots at a super high level. But that's why I'm next up going to talk about trading for a former Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but also somebody who I really think can affect the floor on offense for Golden State at a really, really high level, and something that this Golden State Warriors team has not seen in the Stephen Curry era. So we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, I got to give a major shout out to today's sponsor, Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports partner, and I love Prize Picks. I've been a customer long before they were even a sponsor here at Chat Sports because it's so easy to win real money in real time. All you guys got to do is pick a lineup of 2 to 6 player stat projections and just pick more or less. It's so easy. You can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks on Prize Picks. You can also get $50 in your account for free when you use our promo code CLNS and place your first $5 entry. Prize Picks. It's so easy. It's like, if you think if Stephen Curry will get more than 30 points next game, you just hit them more, you hit more on something else, or you hit less on something else, and you're winning money in real time. I have a Prize Picks out there tonight, and you can mix and match so many different sports, different basketball leagues. We got college and the pros. We also have football, hockey, esports. There is an endless amount of things that you can play on Prize Picks. Tonight, I have 3 different basketball plays. Shout out to rookie Stephon Castle, getting it done in a lot of different areas for San Antonio right now, especially while Victor Wembanyama has been out for a couple of games. Give me more than 8 rebounds plus assists, just getting dirty, making winning plays. I like Castle a lot. Also, Anthony Edwards, give me more than 26.5 points against the Toronto Raptors. You guys remember Anthony Edwards' best dunk of his career? It's against the Toronto Raptors. Seems like it gets up to play up in Canada, so give me more than 26.5 points there. And my guy R.J. Luis Jr. from St. John's. They're playing the Baylor Bears today, and I like him to stuff the stat sheet. Give me more than 22.5 points, rebounds, and assists. You can take my picks. You can fade my picks. Just make sure you go and do it at Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS to get $50 for free in your account when you place the first $5 entry. It's guaranteed. You don't even need to win to receive $50. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. Before we talk about Myles Turner, I need to preface this. I asked you in the beginning of the show, do you think Golden State will need to make a trade at some point this season? I honestly think that they will. And I go back and forth on what I think the Golden State Warriors' biggest need is on this team, what I think they should address in a potential season-swinging, contention-making trade. Is it going to be secondary scorer? Is it going to be something in the front court? Well, for the purposes of today's video, last night they had a good secondary scorer in Andrew Wiggins, and the front court was good too, but I've seen over a couple of games here recently that the front court just hasn't been that good. And it hasn't been one that you want to match up against some of the best bigs in the NBA. I mean, think about when the Warriors go and play the Lakers. How are they going to defend Anthony Davis? Trayce Jackson-Davis got worked by Anthony Davis in the preseason. Kevon Looney has always had issues with Anthony Davis. And I'm not saying that he's the only one that you need to be worried about. Obviously, there's guys like Jokic as well. But more often than not, you are outmatched in the front court. Think about when they play the Clippers. Zubac dominates. And, these numbers for Trayce Jackson-Davis and Kevon Looney, they're good. They're not great. Good, solid rebounder, Kevon Looney. But struggles against bigger players on defense. Trayce Jackson-Davis, not a bad rim protector, just not really that big. And honestly not really that great of a post defender against some of the better offensive bigs in this league. So what do I think they need to go out there and do? I think they need to go out there and get a true 7-footer. And that's been something you guys have been pounding on in the comments for the past couple months. Ever since I started taking over this channel, you guys have said Golden State needs a big. Well, I'm going to make that happen tonight. To be fair, Trey Jackson-Davis and Kevon Looney, they have not been matches for any 7-footers that they've played so far. Yeah, Clint Capella, but he's honestly not even 7 foot. I'm pretty sure he's about 6'10". The roles they do play do have value, and I do think that both of them deserve spots on this roster. But think about it down the line. Kevon Looney, is he going to be a part of this team moving forward after this year? Only got a 1-year deal, and it seems like he's already kind of been given up his role as starting center, or at least rotational center, to Trey Jackson-Davis moving forward. So what does Golden State want to go out and do? Probably go get another big next offseason, as Kevon Looney probably won't be a part of things moving forward. And I think Myles Turner is the perfect fit for this Golden State Warriors team. Gets up a ton of threes. He can rebound the basketball. He can block shots at the rim. He can move on the perimeter with bigs that can dribble the ball. He's athletic. He can rise up for big-time highlight plays. And he can score at 3 levels. I love Myles Turner's game. He's honestly one of the most underrated bigs in this league, and I think he would fit perfectly within this Golden State Warriors offense. Above the break threes, he'd be fantastic. A little pick and pop action, he'd be good. Lob threat, he's there as well. He can kind of bridge the gap between the Golden State Warriors not having much in the front court and also really not having that reliable enough second score. Not saying he can be that 22, 25 point per game guy on any given night, but when you have an Andrew Wiggins and then you have a Myles Turner, you feel a little bit better about yourself offensively heading into a playoff and championship, hopefully, stretch. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments section. Should the Warriors trade for Myles Turner? Do you guys think this is something that we should explore? Let me know down in the comments section. Type T for trade, type P for pass. Because I didn't make this idea up myself. I got this from my good friend, Dean Simon. We're not really friends, but shout out to him for writing this article from Sporting News. He said the 28-year-old Turner has long been rumored to eventually become part of the Warriors' dynastic system under Kerr and alongside Stephen Curry and Draymond Green, as his skill set would theoretically mesh perfectly with both future Hall of Famers. Currently in the last year of his contract with Indiana before becoming an unrestricted free agent in the summer of 25, Warriors general manager Mike Dunleavy may be enticed to pick up the phone to inquire about Turner's availability as a potential 1-year rental, if anything. Dunleavy could offer plenty of young talent to throw Indiana's way in exchange for the former 5th-place finisher in Defensive Player of the Year voting in 2019, and the addition of Turner's lights-out shooting, athleticism, and rim protection could lead to yet another NBA Finals appearance for Golden State. And that is what it's all about. What did Stephen Curry say yesterday? Or 2 days ago, sorry. Yesterday's video. He said the only thing he's playing for now is the 5th championship. That's the only thing that he's looking at in terms of accomplishments. That's what gets him up out of bed every day, pursuing that 5th championship. Now, he said he loves the game. He said he loves getting up for wins night in, night out, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's about getting Steph his 5th ring. And Myles Turner, no doubt, 100% gets you closer to winning a championship. He addresses your lack of size in the front court, and he also gives you another offensive option that spreads the floor completely 5 out for Golden State. Numbers over the past couple of seasons, listen, he's not some lights-out three-point shooter. He also takes probably a little bit higher of a volume than he does some nights, or he should some nights, in Indiana. A couple of years ago, though, he's shooting 37%. If he could do that in Golden State where he's getting a ton of wide-open looks, I bet you Myles Turner his percentages would go way up. I mean, last year he was fantastic. Basically, you know what you're getting every single year from Myles Turner, at least as an Indiana Pacer. Maybe he could be different with Golden State. Maybe he could up those rebounding numbers a little bit. You're getting 17 and 7 every single year from Myles Turner, and that's somebody that I want on my basketball team. And it's somebody who plays good defense, somebody who hits big-time shots and can defend shots at the rim, do things that Golden State lacks right now. And it's going to be interesting because what is Turner going to cost in a trade? His contract right now is only 1 year, $19.6 million. He's an unrestricted free agent this summer. This would be a 1-year rental as of right now. But this is somebody that I could see being on Golden State for the next couple of years and really being that center that rides off into the sunset with Stephen Curry and Draymond Green while still being young enough to be in that next era of Golden State Warriors. And in the Pacers side of things, they're starting to get really expensive. They just paid Tyrese Halliburton a ton of money. They paid Pascal Siakam a ton of money this past offseason. They're going to have to pay Benedict Mathurin, I think this upcoming offseason or potentially the next. Like, they're going to start to be expensive. Are they really going to go into the second apron for Myles Turner? I don't think that they will. He's 28. I mean, I guess he's kind of on Pascal Siakam's timeline, but the rest of the talent in Indiana is super young. You think about guys like Isaiah Jackson, their young center down there, or Jarace Walker, the guy they drafted in the top 10 just a season and a half ago. Like, there is young talent on this Indiana Pacer team. Now, the trade I'm about to show you guys, it might not entice them entirely, though, because they do still believe that they are contenders in the Eastern Conference. They probably won't be willing to move off of Turner unless they give him a notice that they will not be re-signing him during the offseason. And he says, listen, trade me somewhere else. So this is what I got if that does happen. Myles Turner coming to Golden State. I know this sounds crazy. I don't think it's the most out-of-pocket trade in the whole world where, like, Indiana wouldn't accept it. But this is what I conjured up yesterday for Golden State acquiring Myles Turner. They gave up Gary Payton, Kevon Looney, Luis Santos, and a first-round pick. This is essentially a salary dump because Gary Payton II, Kevon Looney, Luis Santos, I believe are all expiring deals at the end of this season. And then you give him a first-round pick because naturally Myles Turner does have value. You could also add in a couple of seconds. I'd even think about adding in another first-round pick. To be honest with you, I think about adding in Brandon Podziemski, but we could have got Lauri Markkanen for him a month ago, and he didn't do it. So they wouldn't give up Brandon Podziemski for Myles Turner. That's why I didn't put him in the deal. If I was making the deal, I would do that. But what do you guys think? Would you make the deal that you see on your screen right now? Type A for accept, type D for decline. I want to hear from Dub Nation on whether or not you think this is a good package for Myles Turner to come to Golden State. Of course I'm taking the trade. Of course. Like this kind of kills a bunch of birds with one stone. Gets you a secondary scoring option. Gets you an elite big. And it also shaves a little bit some of the fat off this roster. You kind of trim your rotation down just a little bit. Now, is that the best idea considering you've faced a couple of injuries so far early on this season? Probably not. But at the end of the day, you get better at the top. And that's what matters when trying to win an NBA championship. Who are your best players and how can they perform when the lights are bright? And I think Myles Turner can do that. He played fantastic in the NBA playoffs last year. He gave the Celtics problems during that series. He gave the Knicks problems during the second round series. He's a really good player, and I think he would benefit Golden State greatly. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comment section or hit me up on Twitter as well at SmittySCS. Trying to grow that little profile over there. Trying to grow my brand in the Warriors Twitter space. So hit me up over there. Give me a follow. And as always, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Covering your Golden State Warriors like nobody else all season long. Whether it be news, injuries, trades, rumors, what's going on, does not matter. We're going to cover it right here at the channel. So lock us in as your #1 sports source of content. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go Dubs.